welcome back to another episode of Hudson's Highlights. What we do here on my channels, we discuss movies and TV shows and things within that space. Sorry for the hiatus. I've had a week. Just a little backstory. So I remember mentioning to you guys that I did discuss that we had a little bit of issues with the plumbing. Turns out we had to get the entire line that runs from our house to the sewage system in the city redone. And then right after that, the AC went out. So it's been a journey, not to mention my work week was, for lack of a better word, extensive. But getting back on schedule here today, we are going to discuss movies and TV news. There's been a few things that have dropped notably. So I decided, you know what, instead of trying to do catch up here, we're going to just pick up on Monday, right where we leave off usually on Mondays, and go straight to movies and TV news. And then I will figure out a system to get us back on track with everything else moving forward, now that the things that we had outside of this movie space has been hopefully fully resolved. Now, so first thing I wanted to bring up, only because I was personally interested in it. So about a year ago, HBO mentioned they were going to release a movie called Coyote versus Acme. The plot was basically going to be, if you watch Looney Tunes, you know that Coyote has always had an issue with the items that he would purchase from Acme, whether it be dynamite or whatever version of the items that he was buying to try to catch the Roadrunner. And they always inevitably failed on him. And the premise of this movie was going to be basically he was going to be suing Acme for providing him faulty product. The movie was originally shot for and produced by Max or HBO, and then the powers that be decided, hey, we don't have a lot of faith in what we have here. They were originally going to just scrap it, but they decided, you know what, let's shop it around first. They shopped it around to all the other heavy hitters, Paramount, Apple TV, Netflix. No one was interested in giving them what they were asking for. I think what they were asking for was about $50 million, and that would just basically be what they paid to make the movie. No one was interested, so they you know what, they decided we're going to just consider it a tax write-off. At least we get some of the money back in taxes or in a tax recoup. And that was the end of it. Well, Catch Up Entertainment decided that they were going to reach out to HBO Max and see if they can broker a deal to give them the rights to distribute the movie. This happened, honestly, about 4 or 5 months ago. There wasn't much to mention about it up until about 2 days ago, where Catch Up Entertainment was officially able to broker a deal with HBO Max to have full rights of this movie in its totality. So good job for Catch Up Entertainment getting this movie from HBO and having full rights. For everyone who has made it a big deal that this movie was going to get scrapped, this is where you show up to the theater. This is where you put your money where your mouth is. And you say, you know what? I was one of the people who was upset this movie was going to basically catch the axe of Zaslav, who is obviously the CEO of HBO right now. There were a lot of us in the movie space that were upset this movie was basically getting canned. So this is where you show people that, your voice matters. And if you were one of those people who said this movie should get a theatrical release, this is where you show them, okay, I'm going to buy my ticket. If you don't, then the next time you do this and you show up to your favorite social media platform and you barrage HBO, you barrage Paramount for canning a movie, just remember that you had a voice last time and they gave you a shot and you said, oh, well, I'm sorry, I was just talking. So just putting that out there. Also, In more HBO news, along the verse of Harry Potter, there are some more casting announcements. So, Harry Potter, obviously, as I mentioned before, and this, if you or anyone who follows movies or TV shows, if you know anything about Harry Potter, you know that HBO has greenlit and is fully underway in pre-production of a TV series or a straight to streaming series that will basically break down each book in more detail than the movies were able to do. We've had a bunch of casting announcements up until this point. The most recent is going to be in the verse of Nick Frost. Nick Frost has been cast to play Hagrid in the new Harry Potter series. If you don't know who that is, he is the um I don't want to call him the chunkier guy, but he is the more heavy set guy who played in the movie Shaun of the Dead. He's been in a few other things like Hot Fuzz, but he was in the Huntsman's Winter's War, but no one watched that. So honestly, he was in Getaway most recently last year in 2024. But the most notable one that I think everyone would know him from, honestly, is probably going to be Shaun of the Dead. Hilarious roles that he's played in most of those movies. And initially, when I heard that he was cast for the role, I didn't know the name. I was like, Nick Frost, that sounds familiar. That sounds familiar. And then when I Googled him, I was like, oh man, that is perfect casting. Just look up who he is. And if you're anyone who's anyone, and you follow Harry Potter, look at this guy's face and tell me he won't make a perfect Hagrid. He is, without a shadow of a doubt, whoever is the casting leader for this TV show, they are knocking it right out of the park. I am less and less worried about what they're going to do with this show, just based surely on the fact that they are doing some fantastic work with the casting developments. Moving from that to more Netflix, Resident Evil, as I mentioned, I was very excited about. I am still very excited about. They are in heavy talks to cast Mickey Madison to play the leading role in that movie. If I wasn't excited before, when you go out and get a talent like Mickey Madison, and if you look at Mickey Madison's filmography and just how she carries herself as an actress, I think that bodes well for the movie. Of course, it's going to be a straight to Netflix movie, I think. So I'm not expecting, although Netflix has been known to blow their purse on movies straight to Netflix, I don't think they're going to put a lot into this one, only because there was a lot dumped into the original incarnation of Resident Evil to very lackluster result. But if they can give us a quality product and you give us someone like Mikey Madison to lead the helm here, I think we're on to something. If nothing else, at least we have, for the fact that she read the script and she's at least considering it, that shows us that they have something in the bag that's worth giving a shot, at least from my opinion. Um, Moving to Marvel, and this was the big one for me. This is what made me decide to shoot the video for new movie news and TV news. It won't be a very long segment because there wasn't a lot, but what was dropped was so significant. I felt like we have to get this out. If you watch my channel, you feel like I was doing you a disservice for not bringing it up and at least dropping a segment about it. With that being said, hold on. Before I get to Marvel, I'm going to skip two things. So, Final Destination 6 Bloodlines dropped a trailer. I'm going to be honest. The trailer was really good. I just honestly got burned out with Final Destination way back when. Uh, they made so many of them so quick, at least as far as I can remember. They felt like they were being dropped out almost every year for about 5 years there. And I just felt like, when they decided to make a sixth one, I was like, you know, nothing wrong with it, but I don't think that I will be the kind of person that will draw to. I'm not saying I won't go watch it. I will 100% go watch it. I just feel like maybe they've kind of overplayed that. You know, they made 5 movies before, and then there was this TV show. I'm not sure if you remember this TV show, but there was like a TV show that was kind of a spinoff. Not really a spinoff, but you could tell they stole the idea. And it was like 1,000 Ways to Die as a Human or something like that, where they made a full like TV show showing you how you can die in so many random ways. And they ran that for so many seasons, so it felt like that trope was overplayed. But here's to hoping they can give us something original here that will make it feel like it's worth the effort to reinvest into that franchise. The big one for me in trailers was they dropped a more detailed new trailer for Sinners, a movie I am very, very excited about. I will be there to watch that movie opening weekend. This trailer shows a lot more about the characters. It shows more about the vampires. I guess we're going with the name vampires here, um, and what kind of happens, what they're fighting against, what their goal is. You do even hear one of the characters say, "We just have to make it till sunrise." So I think they're giving us more about. I was worried that they kind of dropped all their eggs into one basket when they dropped those first teaser trailers, with the first teaser and then the first full trailer, but it looks like they had some more in store. I was worried about that at first because it felt like, what else could you show me about this movie? You've already shown me everything basically is going to be in the movie. But trust in Kugler here. He had more in store, and I was eating it all up. Super, super, super excited about that. But here's hoping it's a good movie. Here's hoping they didn't give us everything in the trailer, and we'll just go in there and basically watch a longer version of the trailers we've already seen. So back, like I said, to Marvel. Marvel, there were rumors before that Marvel was thinking about scrapping Blade. And if anyone who wasn't aware, Blade was originally announced way back in 2019 at Comic Con. And they announced Mahershala Ali was going to be the star of Blade. Obviously, that was 6 years ago. They've had several directors since then. They've gone back and basically rewritten this script 3 or 4 different times, and they just can't get on the same page with what they want to do with this movie. And when you have Mahershala Ali, who at the time was in his late 40s, I think he's in his 50s now, you just can't keep dragging this out. So I was fully expecting that they were going to, at some point, announce that they were going to just cancel and just scrap the idea of doing a Blade movie. But if that was disappointing for you, I do have some optimistic news. I was hoping they would do this at some point. I thought initially, when it had already been 2 or 3 years and they couldn't get an idea, they couldn't get the pen down properly, I felt like they should go this direction. They are in heavy talks about just go ahead and just making a Midnight Suns movie instead, or some iteration of the Midnight Suns, whether it be a movie or they have a role in a movie, maybe not called the Midnight Suns, they have their own team. I think that's a better approach. You get more bang for your buck doing it that way, because they've introduced so many characters that will fall into that scope. We've already had Moon Knight. We've had Werewolf by Night. We've had so many characters that really haven't had a chance to have a strong platform outside of their special presentation or their one season drop on Disney Plus. So I think it'll be a good idea, especially if you have Mahershala Ali, who you've been dragging around for about 6 years now, still invested in making this role work for him. At least you can go out and get, Oscar Isaac. You can go out and get Mahershala Ali and say, you know what? Instead of us trying to make this movie, let's make this team work. and we have a. I think they'll be able to do have a better script and do a better script justice when you're not just focused on trying to give us a Blade movie. Because let's be honest, the original Blade movie was pretty good. And I don't think we need to go back to that well. I thought that initially. I wasn't opposed to them making that movie, but I did feel like there wasn't a real need to go back to that well and kind of give us a future version of that movie or a past version of that movie. I just didn't think it was necessary. So here's to hoping that we can get a Midnight Suns idea translated into a script and then translated into a movie or a TV show. Hopefully they have enough faith in it to just go out and give us a straight up movie. That at least would be my wishes for it. But the biggest news that dropped, and I'm sure everyone who's watching is waiting for me to bring this up, and I'm going to. They have finally dropped. I wouldn't say finally is really a misuse of words here. I think the whole world was shocked when they did this because they just went in production for this movie. And there was no reason at all. We're a year away, year plus away from this movie dropping. They had no reason to give us any news. And instead of letting the fans speculate about Avengers Doomsday, instead of letting the fans speculate for a year and get hyped and get disappointed, and then rumors drop, and then we get leaked footage from set, they just decided, you know what, we're gonna just give you the director's chair for everyone who's in this movie from start to finish, and they did that, and honestly, it was kind of epic. There are some crazy names in this movie. I mean, we have some names that no one will be shocked to hear. Chris Hemsworth obviously is in the movie. Vanessa Kirby is obviously in the movie. Anthony Mackie is obviously in the movie. Uh, Anthony Masbrockrock's obviously in the movie. Simu Liu is in the movie. Shang-Chi. And I was hoping he would show up because his movie was so good. And I was like, man, I hope they come back to this character because we haven't seen him since that movie, and there's been no inclination that we would get to see him again. So good on Marvel for like noticing that people were asking to see him in this movie. Uh, Florence Pugh, Paul Rudd, Wyatt Russell. I'm not going to try to pronounce Namor's name. The guy who plays Namor. Namor's in the movie. Uh, Kelsey Grammer Beast is in this movie. Good on them for like not being afraid to dive that direction. But speaking of not being afraid to dive that direction, we also have Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, James Marsden, Channing Tatum, Alan Cumming, Hannah John Kamen. We've got movie people in here that I was honestly like shocked they were willing to take that leap, especially letting us know this early that we're going to have these people straight up in this movie. Obviously, we have the Fantastic Four cast. It looks like we're going to have some iteration of the Fox X-Men cast in here. We're obviously getting some version of the Thunderbolts in here. We're getting a few characters from Wakanda, Letitia Wright, and Winston Duke. Uh, Obviously, Pedro Pascal, because he's part of the Fantastic Four. Channing Tatum's going to reprise his role, I'm assuming, as Gambit. Robert Downey Jr. is obviously going to play Doom. But I'm not going to lie, there, with all these names and all the excitement that came from the names that I heard in this movie, there is a couple question marks for me. Because when you throw out names like Lewis Pullman, and for those of you who don't know who Lewis Pullman is, just a second here. I'm gonna pull up um, his filmography, just so you guys know I'm not just making this up. So if you haven't been following the trailers and you don't know who he is and what role he's playing, he is playing Bob. Bob, aka Sentry. And when you go out and you get a guy like Sentry in your movie, it just makes me wonder, why wouldn't they um why are there so many big hitters missing? There's obviously some omissions from this movie. Hulk, Captain Marvel. Um, the list is Scarlet Witch, Vision. Some of your biggest hitters, when you're going to go up against a Doomsday, and I know what you're thinking, well, they have to leave out certain characters for Secret Wars. Yeah, but then you don't put in a Sentry. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to omit your heavy hitters, Sentry is one of your heavy hitters. You don't slap in Sentry, but then leave out Scarlet Witch. That doesn't, unless you plan on. My wife alluded to this earlier. Maybe they plan on Sentry getting kind of early. Maybe they make him fight himself with the Void, and he kind of just null and voids himself early in the movie. Maybe that's the direction they're going with. Because let's be honest, Doom is a warlock and a genius, so he probably has a way to make Sentry fight himself in the corner, and he's just completely removed from any action in the movie. Totally possible, but it does make me wonder, when you go out and get Ian McKellen, Magneto, Patrick Stewart, Professor Xavier, you know, why leave out some of your other heavy hitters unless they plan on making this basically a X-Men versus Fantastic Four versus Avengers movie, and Doom is really just the puppet master, pulling the strings to um make all these teams fight against each other to save their own universe. All possible, but here's to hoping that they obviously it's Kevin Feige, obviously it's the Russo brothers, and if they're gonna work together to make this movie, and they were confident enough to give us the cast this early, then I honestly don't, I'm honestly not worried. Because if you were concerned, then you wouldn't give us this cast and have Robert Downey Jr. walk down the cast line and give us every character. And then, of course, in typical Marvel fashion, Robert Downey Jr. put on his X account, oh, yeah, plenty of room for other characters to show up. So, I'm not actually concerned. It's just one of those things where it's like, if you're going to give us the cast names, we're obviously going to speculate about who is missing and then why are they missing. And then, especially with us being a year out from the movie, we're going to have questions. And we're going to keep having questions until we get to watch the movie or trailers, at least the trailers for ourselves. But let me know what you guys think so far about the news that has dropped this week. A few things that I stand out to me for sure that I'm looking forward to. Maybe I missed a few things in movie news that it came to your attention. Whatever the case may be, leave your comments in the comment section down below. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys tomorrow on the next episode of Hudson Highlights. Take care.